Welcome back to the Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. House Speaker Mike Johnson said today there will not be a vote at all this week in the House on a bill extending Obamacare tax credits. Earlier, I discussed the implications of that with New York Republican Mike Lawler. Here's our conversation. Congressman, give me your unfiltered opinion of the decision of the House Republican leaders not to have a floor vote on extending enhanced Obamacare tax credits.
It's idiotic and it's political malpractice. The fact is that we have a time-sensitive issue, which is the expiration of these enhanced premium tax credits that were put in place during COVID. We can all agree that Obamacare has failed to reduce healthcare costs across this country. And in fact, since Obamacare took effect, healthcare premiums have risen 96% at minimum. So we need to address the longer-term issue of healthcare costs in this country. But to allow these subsidies to expire without even having a vote, to me, is foolish, and it's why I am fighting for a up or down vote. We worked in a bipartisan way, a group of us, myself, Brian Fitzpatrick, Jen Kiggins, David Valadao, among others, over the last few weeks to come up with several compromise pieces of legislation. And we have signed discharge petitions to force those to the floor. And yet, on the Republican side, they don't want to bring the bills up. And on the Democratic side, you have Leader Jeffries, who doesn't actually want to pass something. He wants the issue. He wants it to fail so that he can use this as a political bludgeon in the next election. It's why he and Leader Schumer put a 3-year clean extension with no reforms on the floor in the Senate and as a discharge petition. They don't actually want compromise. And so those of us who are trying to actually legislate and get something done here are left fighting back against the leadership of our respective parties. And so to me, this is the height of absurdity. It is precisely why things don't get done in this place, because people would rather the upper hand or the issue or the political win rather than the hard work of bipartisan compromise. And that's what I am focused on an issue that is critical for millions of Americans.
Is the idiotic party engaging in political malpractice the Speaker of the House or the President of the United States?
Well, look, Congress has to act, and we have a responsibility to advance legislation forward.
Right, but you know, Congressman, if President Trump endorsed what you're talking about, that would dislodge the House Republican leadership. He's sort of been on the sidelines throughout all this in the last couple of weeks.
Well, with all due respect, we have members who have strong positions on the ACA, on Hyde, et cetera. We have been trying to work through these issues for the last few weeks. I and a number of my colleagues met in a bipartisan way to come up with real reforms, including income limits, elimination of zero premium plans, expansion of HSAs, and PBM reform to actually start to reduce the cost of health care. The challenge is that it doesn't have Hyde language in it, which is why many of my colleagues on the right won't support it. And on the left, if you put that language in, they will revolt. And so you're betwixt and between trying to solve a problem. The White House put out a framework that was rejected by the Speaker and others. And so, we're trying to work through this. My point is we have a time deadline. We can get to 218 in the House. We can get to 60 if everybody recognizes it's going to take bipartisan support. It's going to take compromise. That is what I've been working towards. That's why I'm fighting so hard to get this done.
Let me just help my audience with a couple things you referred to. You mentioned Hyde. That's the Hyde Amendment. Long-standing policy. Federal funds do not go directly to provide abortion services. You mentioned HSAs. That's health savings accounts, alternatives to the Obamacare exchange. So those are things I just want to let my audience understand as they go along with the terminology. There are Senate negotiations that the Senate Majority Leader John Thune this afternoon said he hopes have promise of creating an alternative remedy to this in early January. Do you share his optimism?
Well, look, we obviously have an immediate deadline with the expiration of these tax credits. We have the longer-term issue of health care costs in this country. I think everybody should be able to acknowledge that Obamacare has not fulfilled the promise that was made to the American people, that it would reduce health care costs. It has not. And so the question is, how do we deal with that? We have a number of pieces of legislation that are coming for a vote this week in the House that do start to chip away at some of the problems, including associated health plans, which will allow small businesses the ability to collectively negotiate health care plans. But that alone is not going to solve the problem. And so you have to start to work in a bipartisan way to get this done. Anybody that thinks you're going to jam through health care policy in a partisan manner is kidding themselves. We saw what happened when Democrats did that 15 years ago in a bill that was written by the insurance companies, by the way, and it has not actually produced results. All it has done is driven insurance premiums sky high, record profits, and meanwhile the American people are struggling to afford their health care.
What will this mean to your constituents on December 31st? And there's some reporting out there that some constituents are having a hard time reaching you on this or something like that. Do you want to respond to that?
No, they're not having a hard time. That's put forth by the Democrats trying to, astroturf everybody and gaslight everybody. I've been leading on this issue. I'm the one actually trying to negotiate a bipartisan deal. Again, you can look back to my exchange with Hakeem Jeffries during the shutdown when I asked him to sign on to a clean one-year extension, and he refused. The fact is, they don't actually want to solve this. They want the issue, and that's why I've been working in a bipartisan way with rank and file members to actually negotiate a deal and try to force both of our leaderships to deal with the reality.
New York Republican Congressman Mike Lawler, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Major.